Right now, we want to jump into the NBA award eligibility and how some players look like they not might be able to get an award this season. And see how we're gonna do this one a little bit different because you brought this one up. So I want to know what you wanted to talk about with this one here. Some guys are gonna be already they miss so many games they're not gonna be eligible for nothing, and some guys if they miss a couple more games they're not gonna be eligible for nothing. Want to know what your thoughts were on this whole situation.
Okay. Well, before I get into that, let me ask you first off. What do you think about the number of it being 17 games is what you're allowed to miss? What do you think about that line?
Um, I think that there should be a number of games that you miss that you can be eligible for award for sure. Because I don't think it's cool if you miss like in this instant, John Morant 40 games missed, and it looks like he's about to miss the rest of the season, is what I saw today. So that would be 60 games missed. Let's say we'll round it out, right? I don't think you come back and you play 20 games or those 20 games should go towards the fact of you were playing so nasty that no matter what, we should give you an award, right? So I'll set that there because there's some people that actually do believe that no matter how many games you missed, you should be up for an award. I don't think that should be possible. Now, 17, we're talking about 82 games. 17 would be what, 22%, 20% of the season? I think maybe should be 25 games. Maybe 25 games would be the right amount of games that you can miss, and 25 being the mark. That means if you miss 25, you cannot be eligible for an award. So essentially 24, right? I think that would be a good mark there. I think 17, yeah, you might not think, oh, there's not so much of a difference from 24 to 17, but those several 7 games can make a difference when it comes to the amount of wins that your team is going to get at the end of the regular season. The fact that your team might make it into the play-in or even out of the play-in and out of the whole playoffs overall. Those 7 games can count towards something, and obviously playoff seeding. You want some home court advantage going into the whole playoffs, and some teams are not going to be able to get that just because those 7 games can make a difference to them. Obviously, in this aspect, we're talking about award eligibility. I still think that it should be up to 24 and maybe not 17. I think 17 is a little bit steep. But what about you?
So I felt that way until I did a little bit of research on it. So only one, and we're not talking about lockout seasons and COVID season, shortened seasons. Full 82 calendar, only one past MVP in the history of the league would have been ineligible based on, I mean, I know there's other awards, but just focus on the big one here. Only
Yeah.
one MVP in the history of the game based on today's rules would have been ineligible, and that was Bill Walton back in, who knows, back in 1800s.
Okay.
So he, to say that, it's not as if, today's standard of that many games would have eliminated so many MVPs. Because I know a lot of people are complaining already, like, oh, look, what's on this list? Jokic can only miss one more game. Wemby could easily be the MVP, can only miss 3 more games. If SGA, let's just say, it's not that many games left, but if SGA misses 5 more games, he just came off a huge thing. Well, let's say a little setback, he misses 5 more. Wemby misses 3, I guess 4 because he can miss 3, whatever. And Jokic misses 2 games, and those guys are just out for whatever reason. Now, are you going to get that? You're going to start hearing, oh, well, it's either Cade or Jaylen Brown, but what would be by default? Is it like, not an asterisk, but it's like those are by default MVPs, or by default MVPs, constantly, or defensive player, and all that kind of nonsense. If it had been that the rule and that number would have eliminated like 50 MVPs or award winners going back in time, then I could understand that. But players are missing time now more than they've ever missed time. And obviously there's an advancement of technology, and so that's to the point where, a guy back then had a strained ACL that he shouldn't be playing on, but technology didn't say that. He was just hurting. So he played anyway. Nowadays everyone's an asset. Everyone's looking at how much money you're making, especially as the contracts are bigger and bigger. And they're going, whoa, wait a second. You get that ACL sprain, or you got that joint thing, you got that hip flexor issue, you got that groin issue. Groin issue would have never been a thing back in the day. But, it is, and I get it. I've had it. It sucks. So I get the impact on the court. I'm not knocking players for missing time. But the point being is there's so much attention to time missed and like injuries based on how much money these players are getting paid that it's like we need to protect our asset. We need to keep them off. It's not only load. There's a lot of BS load management, which I hate. But I get why players miss more time now because the attention to detail is bigger and the amount of money is bigger. But again, I hear you. It is like going like 25 games. Like I want them to play too. I don't give them too much leverage room not to play. And I don't know if the awards are big enough incentive to make them want to not miss that cutoff mark. But it does make a huge impact. And you know, there's been a lot of people complaining in multiple sports when somebody, for example, in baseball is batting, you know, they're the batting leader and they're batting 325 and someone else is right behind them at 324 and on the last day the guy batting 324 plays and goes, you know, 1 for 4 and the guy batting with the lead, she takes the day off to protect the lead instead of taking a chance at blowing it. And so like, people complain about that and think that's kind of whack. So this kind of in the same sense, you got a situation where are people just, you know, going to miss this many games because they have it in their pocket to miss this many games? Are they just going to sit out because they can do it? And when they do miss the time and then they play great and they clearly let, like, for example, let's stay with Wemby, he can clearly be the MVP this year. If he misses 4 games, are you going to start hearing complaints that you know, the real MVP isn't Cade? It should have been Wemby. He just got it because he missed the time. I don't know. I'm okay with the line. I wasn't when I first looked at it because I was like, man, look how many people are going to be ineligible. You know, these are like key names when I think about, you know, who should be MVP and who should be in these awards. But at the same time, like all these other MVPs in the past played the games and then they won the award based on the games. You know, so I started off a little like, man, to think that Jokic, Wemby, and SGA would be eliminated. Um, that's a huge chunk of people right there. If and that's maybe they might not even be eliminated, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a huge piece of the MVP race. But at the same time, I've you know I've softened on that, knowing that yeah, these players are just missing more than they probably should. But at the same time, you know, it's a I don't like to be a 90s, 80s basketball guy. I get we're not in the same era anymore. I've moved on, but I would like to see them play, and I do want the incentive for them to play to be bigger than the incentive for them not to play. So I'm okay with the line of 17 as random it is. 60 games need to be played rather than it being, you know, maybe more 28, 25 games, and they just kind of, oh, okay, well, I can, if we're borderline, I can miss another game because I'm still eligible. So I'd rather it always be more play than not. So I'll side with that and change my initial thought on
Yeah, no, the way that you brought it about that actually makes sense, and I'm gonna change my initial thought too. Yeah, keep it at 17 and don't make it more because that makes a whole lot of sense. I don't want to see players just sitting out load management style and not be doing anything. Like there's families and kids and a whole bunch of people that waste their own hard working money that want to go see these players play, and then you're gonna tell me that one player is gonna miss and be like, uh, just want a day off. I mean, I get it. You know, some of us in we actually work and we actually just want a day off and just chill at the crib, whatever. But we're not very, how would you say, affordable lifestyle to actually do that. And we have to go to work and we have to do the things that we got to do to put food on the table, provide for our families, and all that. So the same sense can go towards them. It's like if they're given that 24 game leeway of missing and get this eligibility because they do get incentives for these eligibilities. You get bonus money for these awards. So you're giving them more games to set out. So they're gonna be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna just sit back and relax today, and I'm not gonna really chill. I'm gonna not really do anything. So the way that you brought it about definitely makes sense, and I'll change my stance too. I think 17 would be a good number.